I will give you guys a very, very brief illustration of how I achieved such a astronomical feat, if I may say.
And I will agree, this is an astronomical feat. 6 years plus, no masturbation, no pornography, is an achievement. So even if you go 6 days, if you go 6 weeks, if you go 6 months, anything, even if you have a strong addiction and you go 6 hours, that is a very long time to go if you are constantly masturbating. It doesn't make a difference. You don't have to go 6 years like me. That is something that I just did, and over a period of time you'll know why I did it as well. I was more so taking a break. I was practicing some other stuff, celibacy and some different stuff as well. But again, that is a long time. But again, you don't have to go and shoot for 6 years. This is just something that I did.
I remember going back in time. Uh, I saw a gentleman, I saw a guy many years ago with an extremely huge bed. And it was extremely groomed, looked very nice. And for the first time in my life, I saw somebody that actually pulled off a big bed that was not necessarily uh, a religious figure, if I may say. So, because as we know, most individuals, who follow Sikhism, Rastafarianism, and so forth and so on, usually has a bed. But most civilians, at least back in the day, that was very uncommon. Because as we know, having a bed in today's society is more accepted than it once was back in the day. But originally, having a big bed was something to be uh, revered from ancient times. But as time went on, uh, history had it that it was no longer acceptable. But anyhow, back to my story, how I made uh, 2,190 days of NoFap. And back to my bad illustration. I saw this gentleman, like I said, many years ago, and I was so blown away. I was like, wow, wow, how did this guy do that? And I really admired that look, and I wanted that look for myself also. However, I did not know at the time genetics was involved and all of this was involved, and everybody was not capable of growing a beard. But at the time, I was much younger also. So, anyhow,
And this brings me to my point, what I said earlier. You may see somebody who may you may watch pornography or things of that sort. Even you might watch models, Instagram models, and all of these different individuals who capitalize on their genetics and their gifts. So when you see somebody, you may automatically feel inferior, and you may not realize that genetics plays a role in this as well. So the same thing I would say it applies as well, that the individual, I would say that the individual that I saw, that I'm talking about, had a very huge beard. I mean, it was cool. But anyhow, I did not take into account that genetics played a role, because I was younger at the time. So I just said, hey, this guy in this beard, I could do it too. I didn't know that every guy couldn't grow a beard. I didn't know that genetics was involved. I really didn't know any of that. I just thought that it would just be a matter of time, and I was incorrect. And like most guys may know, a lot of guys may want a beard, but they can't grow a beard. You really can't do anything with your genetics, as far as I'm concerned. You have the height that you have, unless you do some type of knee surgery or something of the sort. You have the look that you have, unless you do some type of surgery as well. But for the most part, you have what you have.
when I decided to attempt this bed, uh, I went to my barber. And yes, this is all associated with how I achieved the 2,190 days no fap. So again, I went to my barber and I told my barber that I wanted this look. And I actually drew it on the paper. I remember drawing it down on the paper how, I wanted this chisel look, if I may say. And I kept styling my bed a little bit more too to get that look, that B-table look. However, that was the look that I wanted. But so I told him, and so I started my beard journey. I started to grow my beard, and I went to the barber every week. Every week I went to the barber trying to achieve this big bad look with this V taper that I saw this gentleman had. So I went to the barber and I told the barber that I wanted this look, this V taper look, and at the time I was more manicured, if I may say, and so I started my beard journey every week going to the barber, and this gentleman would cut my beard into this look that I wanted, and it would be extremely more defined than this. In fact, back in the day, they used to call me Pretty Boy Floyd also because I was extremely immaculate, all lined up and so forth. But anyhow, with that being said, uh, I told him what I wanted, and he started the process of cutting me in design and into this look. And weeks went by. I went to the barber every day. Not every day, I'm sorry, every week.
And this is something that's funny as well, because when I did start this journey, like I was saying in the video, I saw this guy. He had more of a V tapered look, and a V. And if you look inside, if you watch this video that this video now, you see I have more of a V, look. But now I've evolved, and now I've kind of, have a more of a big, more bigger, wider, more wider. So I don't necessarily desire that narrow V tapered look anymore. I'm going more for a more bigger, fuller look. But that was the beginning of my evolution, having a desire for more of a V tapered beard.
Months went by, a year went by. The beard was growing. It was growing somewhat. It was growing, but and I was somewhat happy. I was happy with the look, but I didn't know any better at the time. I didn't know, why my beard was not necessarily growing at the speed or the rate that I really wanted. So anyhow, years later, YouTube came about, and I started to look online in reference to having a big bed. And there was still only a few guys that promoted having a big bed at the time. But I watched everything I could, and my bed was nowhere like it is today. Nowhere. It was extremely, like I said, it was not a full bed. It was just all lined up, and it had the mouthpiece was all, pencil-like type thing.
That's some funny shit. Hey, look here, man. Hey, this giving me I having like flashbacks right now because literally, man, it's no joke. What I'm talking about is I was going to the barber literally every weekend. And at the time, I was like partying hard, man. I was going out, man. I was hunting. You know what I'm saying? It was all about the bitches. It was all about these hoes. I was all about these girls. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, I couldn't miss one weekend at the barber. I wasn't getting a haircut because my hair usually was, I was getting my hair styled and all that. I had locks at the time too, but I was more so, talking about my facial aspect. I was, all lined up. I mean, everything was lined with up and tapered. I had the pencil mouthpiece and all that, man. Hey, look here, I was say, I was serious about that back in the day, boy. I ain't lie.
But again, it was not what it is today. So again, but this went on for some time. Every week I would go to the barber. And I would spend this money, and I would. So let's say, for example, giving you guys an example, 3 years into this bad thing, I grew 3 inches. I'm just saying, 3 inches of bad in 3 years. And after again going on YouTube and looking at channels and so forth, I came across this gentleman who inspired me in such a way that I could not believe that I was making such a huge mistake when I wanted to grow my beard. So what I found out was this gentleman said that the secret to growing a big beard, that was the video topic, that was the topic of the video, the secret to growing a big beard. And when I saw this video, I said, hey, this got to be the video that I need to watch because this has to be the secret. Looking at this guy, his beard looks like, he looks like Moses, And again, like I said, everyone, this is related to how I made it to be 2,100.
I remember this. I remember this, and just for the record, this bad story we're talking about over 20 years. We're talking about over 25. I haven't really been growing my beard that long, because I've always been cutting it. I never really allowed it to grow. But this story that I'm talking about literally happened over 20, maybe more than 20 years ago. That is how long ago I saw this guy. This is not a new story. I just recently, not I wouldn't say recently, but in the last, X amount of years, I decided to just let it grow natural and not, line it up or shape it up or touch it or anything of the sort. I mean, I still have it groomed and I might, style in a mustache and maybe a handlebar or something of the sort, or also known as an imperial. That's a little style, a little pippin, what I'm saying, keeping the PI alive, you understand me? But anyhow, but the moral of the story was I did not always, uh, my bed was extremely, lined up and all, the neckline, all that. It's still groomed as well, but it's a lot more, like I said, a more of a natural look. But at the same time, like I said, uh, that is something that I evolved to today.
90 days, NoFap. And also, something I noticed with my part two video, for those who have watched my part two video, uh, some people might wonder why I might be looking away from the camera somewhat. I'm actually staring in the sun, and the sun is actually uh, in front of me, so it's kind of squinting my eyes. And for those of you that might not know, this location is actually a very historical location, located uh, on the Caribbean islands of the Bahamas, the beautiful islands of the Bahamas. This location is called Montague Beach, and this is actually, like I said, an historical location because of this was a place, and this is not part of the video, but I'm just kind of rambling on right now to give you guys some more information. So I'm moving away the angle, and if you look behind me, you will see, hopefully, you will see that there is there is a a stone building, if I may. I hopefully that's in the view. I think that should be in the view. I'm gonna come out the view just to get a picture of this building, uh, and hopefully the sun again is really bright here. But anyhow, hopefully you could get a view. And way over there, where my hand is, if you see my hand pointing, there's Atlantis over there, the historical Atlantis. And there's only one, there's two now. I think the second one is in Dubai, and across the street over there is Paradise Island. Because for those who might be wondering where these videos are taken, that's what's really going on. I am on Montague Beach again, across the street where I'm pointing. Uh, I'm pointing over there. That's Paradise Island, and again, uh, somewhere over there is Atlantis. If you maybe expand the screen, you'll see the Atlantis. And I think the second Atlantis is in Dubai. So, but anyhow, I'm on the Caribbean island of the Bahamas, and this is a historical location. Again, if you look back and you see there's a building where there's some people sitting down, a block stone building, that is actually a fort. That is a fort, whereas back in the day, historically, there were pirates. Literally, there were pirates that came to the Bahama Islands, and they tried to, I guess, take over and whatever they tried to do. But we were under the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth of the Bahamas, of England, and we gained our independence not so long ago in 1973. So the Bahamas is a very, very young.
Sounds like a historian. But it is a very beautiful beach. In fact, there are so much more beautiful beaches than this beach. But this is a very beautiful native beach, open to the public as well. So for anybody who have heard about Fort Montague, Atlantis, Paradise Island, this is in the vicinity as well.
Young nation, independent wise, and but it also is a major tourism destination. A lot of sun, sand, and sea and beauty. But anyhow, getting back.
Hey, they should pay me for that little piece of advertisement right there. All the tourism companies should send me a check. You understand me? And snip this little piece right, this little advertisement. While I promoted the Bahamas. You understand what I'm saying? So, alright then, with that being said.
to the video. I'm going to put myself back into the screen right now. So, with that being said, uh, I was doing this for about 3 years, and like I said, I saw a gentleman. He came on the YouTube channel, and he said that the secret of growing a big bed, and I believed him very much because I saw that this gentleman had a bed. Like I said, he reminded me of Moses at the time, and so I had to believe whatever he said. But his answer was, believe it or not, he said that, wait for it now, I guys. I know you guys want to hear this answer. So go for those guys who are considering growing a bed or want to grow a bed. Uh, what he said was mind-boggling to say the least, because I couldn't believe all of this time I was growing my bed, getting my bed cut into this style that I wanted again, this V-tape for years and years, and I only had 3 inches of bed. And he said the answer was, to grow a big bed, the secret is to not cut it. Yes, you heard me right. The secret to growing a big bed is to not cut the bed. So I felt extremely stupid to see that all this time I wanted to have a bed, a big bed, and I wondered why the bed would not grow. And the gentleman said that what most guys do is they try to cut their way into having a big bed.
Now, this is so true because I'm sure many guys who are trying to grow a beard, this is what they do. And I will say this as well. I know somebody specifically, and in fact, I know many guys who want to grow a big beard or a longer beard, but however, they tend to go to the barber every other week, and they say their logic is just like me. They said that, hey, I'm gonna keep cutting it, and I'm style it, and I'm gonna let it grow, and I'm gonna keep trimming it, and I'm gonna keep doing this. No, that's not the way it is. You see, if you look at this stash right now, this imperial or handlebar style right now, most men would never ever achieve this look because most men do not allow their mustache to grow. Most men would cut their mustache as soon as it starts to get a little out of control. So this takes a lot. This same, I don't know if you could see this. Hopefully you could see this, but in the video you may could see it as well. So uh, most men would never. Most men, in fact, I get compliments all the time. People ask me, man, how long you was doing this and blah blah blah. But the moral of the story is, for you, in order for you to grow a handlebar or imperial, for one, it needs to be genetic again, because you won't be able to grow anything if you don't have the genetics to grow a beard. But specifically the moustache is something that takes it's going to take a lot of time and discipline to grow, because the mustache grows in a completely different amount of hair, and the amount of time it takes to grow is completely different from the beard. The chin grows different from the sides and so forth, and so it takes the mustache has to be a very it has to be a decent amount of length to actually do this. You can't just do this with a little snubble or stibble or stubble. No, this is going to take some time. So that is what I'm saying. The whole bear thing takes time.
They think that they would let it grow and then they would trim it, and then they would let it grow and they would trim it, and they would trim and trim, and they would not ever come to having a big beard because all they do is trim. And that was game changing. That was a game changer for me, because now I realize this gentleman that I was going to, who was starting my bed all of these years, and I was paying. I mean, I was not just going to some cheap barber. I was going to actual a saloon. I was getting a hot towel and all this stuff put on my face professionally and all that, razor, straight razor and all that. It was not some bogus barber off the street. And because again, they call me Triple P, Pimp Prophet and Priest. At the time, I was extremely absorbed into my appearance, and a part of my appearance was my facial uh, maintenance. So anyhow, with that being said, and this gentleman he didn't even know. He did not, either he knew or he just wanted the money, but he failed to tell me that, hey, what you should do is you should discontinue cutting your bed so frequently, and you should come back and you should see me only X amount of weeks or X amount of months, or come back every 6 months and we will trim it up, and come back every, you know, whatever, 9 months to a year, then we'll cut it. And that's what he did. He failed to tell me that the secret was to simply not cut the bed.
And I will say this: I was so disappointed when I found out that I couldn't cut my way into a big bed, and that is what a lot of guys do. They think that they're gonna continuously cut their bed, and it's gonna grow longer. No, it's not gonna work. In order for your bed to get longer and big, you simply have to stop cutting it. You have to find ways to groom it. You have to get a comb, a bed comb, a bed brush, and you have to use different stuff, bed oils and different things, bed balms as the bed get longer and all that stuff. I didn't know all of that stuff in the very beginning as well. I just pretty much, I cut it in the style that I wanted. But the moral of the story is I was very, very disappointed in this guy because I was going to my barber literally for years. I'm talking about years, 45 years, going to the barber, getting my face just lined up and trimmed, and I was trying to get this look, and it did look good at the time. It did look good. I will admit it did look cool. But the moral of the story is I wondered why it was not growing. I did not know that I needed to take a break. I thought that I could just keep cutting it and allow it to grow inch by inch, but I was not aware that every time I went to the barber and I cut a piece off, even if it was just a centimeter, that centimeter was holding me back from achieving the look that I wanted. I wanted that long V. You know what I'm saying? I was not going for this big, you know, Wolverine look that I have now. But at the same time, I was not aware. And my barber, I was very disappointed that he would allow me to just continuously pay, and he would not let me know and say, hey, take a break. You need to let it grow, and then you could come back in X amount of months, and we could work on the split ends and whatever else. I was very disappointed in my barber at that point as well.
So, with that being said, after that, my journey became not cutting the bed. And that also, again, which is also related to how I made it to go 2,190 days of NoFap. Because during the time when I decided not to cut the bed, that is when I experienced extreme discomfort. Some parts of my face itched a lot. The parts that I was normally shaven, so my skin was not actually used to having that much hair on my face. And then there was sometimes every now and then there would be some ingrown hair or whatever because the hair was growing back, may not be pointing in the right direction because I did not allow my bed to grow naturally for some time. But anyhow, for those of you who have been trying to grow a bed, and you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to ingrown hair and having the itchy face and all of that. And plus, the image is not so appealing because you would go to some caveman look, and that is not necessarily acceptable in many cases, be it for employment or also be it for a relationship. Even your female, a wife or a girlfriend, may discourage you from going a big bed as well.
And this is for those of you guys who know what I'm talking about, guys who shave their face frequently. And when you decide to maybe grow a beard or whatever, and then you might have some stubbles, and then after a period of time, you might encounter a few ingrown hairs and things of that sort, and then you might start to have some discomfort and some itch and things of that sort. Guys who are not used to having hair on their face know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's the phase that I was talking about, going through some type of being uncomfortable, and also like I was saying, a lot of guys who is capable of growing a beard, they sometimes they will not do it because they are female, their relationship, their wife or their girlfriend might discourage them, and also it could be for a job as well. I could understand, either way, whether it's a job or even a female, your wife or somebody, especially a job. I understand you need to make a living, and everybody is not going to be able to just grow a beard because they will have some type of stipulation put on them, either again at home the wife might put up some resistance, or the girlfriend might put up some resistance, or even unemployment. That could be an issue. So if you do have a job and you could get away with it, I guess if you do get a job at first and then maybe walk your way into it, or if you have it well groomed and well kept in the very beginning, some employees will give you the opportunity, but you have to be very very well groomed. It has to be something that it's not taking away from you, because sometimes bad does not always work in everybody's favor. And however, at the same time, there are some women that actually find bears to be very attractive, especially if you have a bear that's very well groomed and well kept as well. So it's not all negative. Some will like it, some will not. But hey, you can't please everyone.
Well, so the moral of that story was the key to NoFap. There are many guys on YouTube talking about 90 days, 60 days, 30 days achievements, which is great, which is very very great. You have to start somewhere, and the reason I said 90 days, 60 days, or whatever the case may be, is because we know that it takes 30, 60, or sometimes 90 days for a habit to be formed. And just like the way you were programmed to uh, masturbate all of these years of your life, it is also going to take a new mental transition of you not masturbating. So the mind is going to have to take some time to take on this new challenge. And like I said, it will not become habit at least until 90 days. Just like trying to quit any other bad habit, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, whatever else may be your negative vices, it will take some time. But the good thing about NoFap is also a spiritual journey that would lead you into other disciplines, because when you take on a NoFap journey, you will actually start to develop more discipline because of actually reducing your bad habits, and that one bad habit reduction could snowball and will actually snowball and go into uh, other areas of your life that you may have been wanting to quit or you may have been wanting to stop. So taking on that journey of NoFap is actually a very, very good idea. It's an excellent start uh, to start your journey off, your spiritual journey, because, like I said, if you master one bad habit, it is most likely that your self confidence will build and your self worth will build, your self value will build, and you will also become more self aware of pretty much everything that you do to yourself, because masturbation is an actual self behavior.
Yeah, so that's one good thing I would say. I wouldn't say one good thing, but that is one of the major benefits of actually trying to develop some type of sexual discipline, is because when you develop sexual discipline, you will realize that having the power to control one of the most powerful urges that exists, sexual having a sexual desire and sexual attraction and interest, is the most one of the most potent and powerful feelings that any human being could feel, be it a male or female. Sex is something that we are driven by from an evolution perspective. So if you could control your sexual habits and your desires and have some sexual discipline, you're gonna be heading down a direction of having overall sexual discipline, because when you're able to control your sexual desires and your sexual discipline, you're gonna develop some type of inner confidence, and it's gonna help you to say, hey, if I could do this, then maybe I could do that, and one thing is gonna lead to another, because that is exactly what happened to me. Having the sexual discipline led me into having the ability to reduce other bad habits as well. So it's a very, very good stepping stone to start off your spiritual journey as well. And then we have other different levels to this game. No FAP is more of an introduction level. Then you know you go into semen retention. That's a different level as well, where we're talking about holding back semen, not releasing. Then we have sacred secretion, things of that sort, so forth, so forth. Where we're talking about actual lack of sexual acts in general. It's a different whole ball game. It's different levels to this game. So, but again, I highly recommend NoFap as a very, very uh, beneficial self-introductory spiritual journey process.
I would almost say it's more of a self-affliction behavior. And for those of you guys, it's very strange for you guys who've seen part two or part three video. There was a stingray in the video, and there he came back again. For those of you guys who have not seen him, you see he's back again. He or she, I'm not sure. Right there. Hopefully you guys could see it. It's right there, and this is a sign because it's this. I don't know if it's the same stingray, but it's actually it looks like the same stingray with black and white spots. So hopefully he comes closer and he are able to see him a lot, him or she a lot clearer. So like I said again, once again, uh, the taking on the challenge of NoFap will develop more discipline, and that will snowball into other areas that you could actually apply that same discipline to if you wanted to quit smoking. Again, I don't know if you guys see it. It's right there. Hopefully, you can see it. He's look like he's not coming back uh, around this time, but it's just interesting that in I thought part three. I think it was part three. Oh, it's coming to the top now. See, it's coming to the top somewhat. I don't know if you see it. It's coming back. I think hopefully it comes back around. Maybe not. But anyhow, he's famous because it's the second time for the second video. And again, for those of you who may not be aware, this is also. I'm sorry I failed to mention that this is actually a uh, part two. Yes, this is part two of the introduction, Seven Seals, Astrology, Prophetics video. Just giving you guys a very brief idea of who I am, a little about me, some history, and so forth and so on.
I just want to interject here in reference to the stingray. The stingray did show up in a few other videos, and sometimes it'd be more than one. But however, I would eventually, over a period of time, I would eventually move from this location because I was getting so much interruption. So many people were coming by, and some people were listening to the videos, and especially some of the topics that I would be. Again, this is only my second video. I have not made any other videos. I'm not even. Again, I don't have a script. I'm just talking whatever comes to my mind. This is, again, I don't even know what I'm talking about per se. I just have an idea what I'm going to talk about. But the moral of the story is, uh, people were coming by, and it was kind of becoming somewhat uncomfortable because this is, again, my very second video. I'm not quite sure what I could say, what I could get away with, what I'm saying, how much, how direct I could speak, how much profanity I could use. I'm not sure about anything, I don't, so I'm kind of really being cautious because if you, as time go on, you will realize with the other videos, the more later videos, I would use more profanity, and I would be more direct, and I would be more just bold and blatant and sometimes crude, if I may say. So again, the stingray, I was so disappointed when I had to move from this location because the stingray, this was a very, very beautiful spot, but I had so much interruptions, people coming by, and then because of the content that I was talking about, I felt really uncomfortable. Sometimes there were older people, women coming by, and I was talking all of this pimp type shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like not so conducive for me to stay there. So I eventually moved to a new location, whereas I had very less, next to no interruptions. But again, I really was disappointed for moving from this spot.
So, with that being said, once again, NoFap it was actually the catalyst that allowed me to build more confidence. And then I practiced the semen retention. Also, I was practicing those simultaneously, and but I still had many bad habits. I still smoked cigarettes and stuff like that on the down low. No one really knew I smoked cigarettes because I was ashamed and I didn't feel like it was a good habit. And but I did it anyhow. I still drank, and but it was because of the NoFap, partly because of the NoFap. It actually helped me to build more self confidence, to develop the skills that I needed to discard those other bad habits. And so, once again, it would take at least 90 days, 30 to 90 days, and take each day one day at a time. You don't have the room is not built in a day, so don't feel like, hey, 2,000, 1,000, sorry, 2,190 days like me. No, I did that for a reason. I was able to do it because, hey, I had a bad habit, and to be honest with you, masturbation is quite natural, it's quite normal, and according to statistics, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I think the statistics is 91. I think 91% males who have admitted to masturbation, and I think it's like 78 women, female, who have admitted to masturbation frequently also. And I think there was also a major study done some time back in America, and it says that at least 84% of the individuals, be it male and female, masturbate. So masturbation is a very natural and normal phenomenon. However, at the same time, it can become extremely addictive because of the psychological and chemical distributions of what.
And like I was saying again, masturbation is very, very common. Some may admit that they do it, some may not. But however, it is a very huge, huge population of people that masturbate. There are more people that masturbate than those who do not. So I would say that almost everybody, for the most part, have masturbated at least one time in their life. It's going to be very rare to find one person that has not ever masturbated, either a male or female. That is just our nature. From kids, we tend to touch ourselves, and our parents try to tell us, hey, don't touch yourself, don't play yourself, or whatever. So this is something that we just do naturally. But again, most and mainly men would be more so uh, addicted, or women do it too as well. But men really, really, really have very little sexual discipline as well. So, but again, it is very common. So if you are masturbating, do not feel like it's something out of the norm. Again, I would say that 99% of the planet actually masturbates, or even more.
Happens when we masturbate. So again, when we masturbate, there is chemicals that is released from the brain, such as dopamine, feelings that uh, deals with rewards, and you feel at the time that you may feel like, okay, I have arrived, I've just had sex, because the brain does not know. Most people are not aware that the brain does not know when you masturbate and you have an ejaculation versus having real sex with a real human being. No one, the brain does not know the difference. So, with that being said, the brain assumes that you are an alpha male just constantly procreating because procreation is the main key to evolution. One of the most major focuses in evolution is to procreate. So the body automatically sends a signal to the brain, and it says that yes, this individual has arrived. They are extremely successful because they are masturbating just about every day. So,
Also, that's an interesting fact too as well. Most individuals might not be aware of that. The mind does not know uh, ejaculation, whether it's from a sexual real person, or from false stimulation. You know what I'm saying? Like masturbation, the brain just automatically assumes that you had some type of release, and so the brain produces these chemicals, and so it's actually the chemicals that we are actually addicted to, when we have these sexual releases, the dopamine, the serotonin, and the oxytocin, and things of that sort, when we do masturbate and have orgasms and release, that is what we are getting addicted to. We're getting chemically addicted to these other substances as well. So it's not just the act of masturbation is was actually keeping us addicted. It's the other chemicals that we're actually becoming addicted to.
With that being said, back to my personal experience, I could speak for myself that I have started to masturbate at a very young age, and I became also addicted. And the amazing thing about masturbation is I don't most men would not admit, most women would not admit, but it's extremely, the numbers are much greater with men. And I remember back in the day having multiple, because again, they call me Triple P, Pimp Prophet Priest. And then, like I said before, for those of you who have not watched part one, please go ahead and watch part one. Part one is talking about my how I became, how I got the name Triple P, how that name was bestowed upon me because of having the traits and the characteristics and the history of being a pimp, prophet, and priest. So, with that being said, looking back, I remember having, this is just about the power of masturbation. I remember having girlfriends and still masturbated. I remember at the peak of my game having rotations, and at some point I still masturbated.
Now, you guys remember when I said that I started the video somewhere in the middle or some part? I took a piece of the video and I put it in the very beginning. This is that part that I'm talking about here, whereas I'm talking about having girlfriends and masturbating and even having rotations. And for those who may not be aware, a rotation is just having multiple options, multiple sexual options, having multiple girlfriends or multiple side pieces or whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it, but having rotations of girls having sex, and that is again the power of masturbation because we're talking about men having wives and still masturbate on the down low, men having girlfriends and still masturbate on the down low. We're talking about men having sex every single day of the week and still finding time to masturbate on the down low. That is the power of masturbation, and I just don't want you guys to think that is something that a very small select few of men do. We're talking about millions and billions of men do not have this sexual disturbance arc under control, and they, even like I said, they can have multiple sexual partners having sex in multiple times in a day, and they would still at some point still find time to masturbate. So that is a very very serious issue, if I may say.
And I remember at some point it was an addiction. This is before I knew how damaging it was. I remember using masturbation as a tool to, whereas before I have sex, and I'm sure I am not the only male that this does this. I'm sure men today do this because most men know that the first round, what we call the first round, uh, that may be not so powerful, and that may be somewhat a weak round, and we may not be so strong, and we might ejaculate uh, prematurely because of being too excited or not having the actual muscle control and breath control that is needed to control ejaculation. So most men, again, like myself, back in the day, before I would sleep with a girl, especially the first time I slept with a girl, sometimes, not all the time, but I remember having a stage fright, wanting to perform my very best. And I said to myself, what better way to perform my best than to go and masturbate and bust one round before I actually have sex? Because I know the second round will be a lot more powerful. At least I would last a lot longer, if I may say. And most men might not admit this, but I'm sure millions or billions of men all across the world have done this before, have masturbated before they actually had sex, thinking that this would be a tool to help them with their longevity. But actuality, it actually may of being more damaging than good because the second round you may have not had the same potency of erection status that you once had with the first round. So with that being
And so that brings me to another point. We know some men, after that first round, it's a wrap. So some men don't even have the ability to actually, come back uh, and recover from that first round. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's called refractory stage or something of the sort. Whereas when the man has an orgasm, the body has to go through some type of reset cycle type of thing. Again, I think it's called a refractory stage, and it needs some time to recover. And as men get older as well, again, some men have all type of problems, even just uh, getting an erection, erectile dysfunctions, things of that sort. And then some men, when they have that one, they bust that one round, that's a wrap. So when you see guys talking about doing things that is, we're talking about, especially younger men. Only most likely, younger men have the ability to, masturbate. This is again, I was doing this when I was a lot younger as well. But younger men having the ability to masturbate, bust one round and then bust two round and three round and four round and five round, things of that sort. You know what I'm saying? I remember being like, Billy the Kid busting those rounds, you understand me? Rounds per pound, I think, you understand what I'm saying? I was, I mean, vicious 6 rounds, I think, you know what I'm saying? Heavyweight fighter champion of the world, I think. You understand me? But you know what I'm saying? That's back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I ain't no time to do all of these days, you know what I'm saying?
said, masturbation also is again, like I said, very, very addictive and would be classified also as having a sexual addiction. Pornography has caused so much damage throughout history for many, many, many relationships, many men who have chosen to use masturbation as a tool and have actually diminished their desire for having sex with females and in natural relationships as well. Some men have masturbated to such degree that whereas when there's time for them to perform and have sex naturally with a human being, a female, they have all sorts of complications. And this is not hearsay, this is not a myth, this is actually a real thing because there are therapists that help individuals uh, deal with these impotency problems because of masturbation and having to have unnatural expectations because pornography also dulls the sensory uh, apparatus of the male mind because when you watch porn, you see a lot of unnatural figures, a lot of unnatural women. You see even men that's extremely unnatural in size, and you may feel psychologically inferior, and you might end up developing self-esteem issues and wondering why I don't look this way. Whether you are male or female, you can develop these psychological issues because you think that you should be looking a certain way and you should be having these physical attributes when in all actuality a lot of these attributes might not be natural and some of these individuals may just be so naturally gifted in these areas that they would make uh, put Barbie doll to shame.
And that is what I was saying again. Just like the beard, growing the beard, not being realizing that this was a genetic thing, having porn addictions and sexual addictions as well could set you up because when you watch porn, you see all of these figures, be it male or female, with these unnatural body types, you know what I'm saying? And then you might feel like some way inferior. You may start developing self-esteem issues, self-weight issues, self-confidence issues. So it's a very, very dangerous trap, if I may say, to get hooked on pornography. It's not just something that affects just you; it affects your overall perspective on females as well. Sometimes you might even tend to like uh, uh, demoralize or sometimes idolize a female for a body alone, and you don't tend to see the person for who they are. You tend to look at females as objects, if I may say, and almost all men do it in general. Look at women as objects because that's one of the first things we see. The body, that is what we tend to look at more than anything else. But again, but sometimes when we get into pornography, it even gets a lot worse. We tend to see women and we only see them for their physical attributes and nothing else.
So with that being said, once again, masturbation is a very, very serious problem. And most men,
That's funny. I said like these five serious. That means it's a very serious problem, guys. I don't want you guys to think that masturbation is something that you should take lightly. It is a serious problem. I'm not laughing. It is a serious problem. It's just funny.
do not know how serious it is because once again we devalue ourselves and not know because we just become addicted to the feeling, and that itself gives us a false sense of confidence, and you feel like anytime you eat a dopamine hit you could go ahead and you could masturbate, and that takes away your drive, that takes away ambition, that takes away your ability to actually go out and find a real girl because you feel like you feel like you have already achieved the most greatest achievement there is, which is procreation. But in all actuality, you did not procreate with anybody. You procreated with your hand, or you procreated with a towel or a sock, or whatever the case may be. You procreated with Jergens lotion, if I may say. But anyhow,
That's funny. Procreated with Jagus, but it's true, man. It's really true. If you think about it, if you're a guy and you haven't had sex for some time, when you go out to get bitches or hoes and you go out there to get some girls, I mean, you have such a drive, you have such a hunger, you know what I'm saying? And but after you just had sex or you masturbated, you don't have the same drive, you don't have the same motivation. That is why also they have something called sexual transportation. I can't remember the gentleman who came up with that term, but it's whereas when you go on long streaks, having celibacy, acts of celibacy, whereas you take that sexual energy and you transmute that energy into your goals and your purpose and things of that sort. That is the goal of being celibate for some time or having sexual breaks from sexual acts, because you could take that same energy and you could go and pursue your passions and that same creative force to create a human being. You could use that to pursue whatever goals you may have, dreams you may have, whatever the thing you may be working on. When you don't have sex for some time, that energy that you were once wasting or just giving away or throwing away, you could put that into your craft or whatever the case may be, and that act is called sexual transmutation.
yo, so like I said, back to myself. It took me some time to overcome that addiction also as well. So masturbation is very natural for be it male and female. However, when it comes to a point to where it is now interfering with your relationships, with your intimacy and things of that sort, it's best that you seek help or you consult or confide in a friend or someone who would be able to maybe give you some advice or help to encourage you, or give me a call or whatever the case may be, because I too am also a drug and alcohol counselor.
And my number is on the screen. Uh, that's going on the top of here, 454-1890. You guys could call me as well for any type of sexual issues that you may be having as well. You may need some counseling, some guidance, or some type of better understanding how to go about transitioning and getting rid of those sexual habits, whether it may be pornography, lack of sexual discipline, masturbation, things of that sort. I can actually help you with that as well. So the numbers are again that's going on the top of the screen. So feel free to use that number as well.
And that is one of the first places that I found out about this dopamine and these neurotransmitters, these serotonin and uh, serotonin. So my mind is blank right now. because there's a big party going on across the street. Once again, I don't know, you might not see too well, but anyhow,
And that's funny because all these people do is party. Hey man, like yo, on the island, hey, party, party, party. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, but anyhow.
the dopamine rushes that we get during masturbation is pretty much very, very addictive. And then it's a reason why nobody masturbates openly. It's not a coincidence that masturbation is something happens uh, that happens in public. You know, most individuals masturbate uh, in private. So if it was natural and it was normal, most individuals would be masturbating in front of their relationships, their partners, their wives, and their husbands. But it's not. So with that being said, this is a very, very long video. This is again part two of a part three introduction series.
And that is also an interesting fact because, again, like I said, most individuals masturbate frequently, but they do it in secret. They do not let their partner know when they do it. They don't do it with their partner. They don't. In fact, it may be a better idea to do it with your partner. You could have more stimulation and more fun that way as well. But for the most part, most individuals, be it male or female, masturbate in secret. So that is to tell you something that nobody, feels comfortable doing it, despite the fact that they do it so frequently. There is some type of shame or some type of self degrading feeling that you may have after masturbating. You masturbate, you might feel good at the time, but after it's done, you feel somewhat shame or disgusted. Or anybody who masturbate know exactly what I'm talking about. The feeling, the good feeling is fleeting. It does last for a very short period of time, and when the act is done, like I said, you're somewhat embarrassed. You have to, clean up after yourself and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, I'm saying it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
For the 7 series astrology prophetics video. But this is just a very brief recap on NoFap, and I will be going into much more detail, much more detail as time go on. I'm going to talk about these subjects again and again and again and again. So again, astrology is not just a one subject matter. So there will be a lot of sexual topics, a lot of relationship topics, romance, and things of that nature, and definitely masturbation and sex will be included. So with that,
So, like I was saying again, because astrology deals with the life holistically, every area of your life. That is why, like I said, they call me Triple P, Pimp, Prophet, and Priest. I talk about relationships, I talk about spirituality, and I talk about astrology predictions and things of the sort. So, when you come to this channel and you subscribe and all that stuff, you will notice there's going to be a different. 1 minute I'm talking about spirituality, the next day I'm talking about some bitches, some hoes, the next day I'm talking about astrology. So just what you could expect. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different subject matters. So I'm going over this video, and this video specifically is talking about masturbation and so forth and discipline. But when I go down the line and I get into other videos, I'll be talking about spirituality. I'll be talking about some sexual subject matters. I'll be talking about relationships and dating and things of that sort as well.
that being said, I cannot cover all of the topics in reference to NoFap, but I will let you guys know. Like I said, it took me some time actually having being in relationships and still masturbated. Uh, having rotations and still masturbated.
Yeah.
So that should give you guys an idea how addictive it is. And most men would not admit, most women may not admit, especially men, they would not admit, they would not tell their wife or their girlfriend that they masturbate, because or their wife or girlfriend would not tell their uh, boyfriends or husband that they masturbate, because it may make the individual feel bad, like they're not performing or they may not be living up to standards. So, with that being said, I think
And that's another interesting fact. Like I said again, most men would masturbate in secret, and especially women, because men are so sensitive in reference to their sexual act, how they perform, and all that. If a man finds out his wife masturbates, that could be something that could really shatter his ego, because he's gonna most likely feel like, wow, why is she masturbating? She's not being satisfied or something of that sort. So women tend to be a lot more secretive. They may tell their other friends, they may tell their other female friends about the toys that they have and the different gadgets and different things that they have. But these things that they tend to, these sexual toys and taboos, they tend to keep secret from their husbands and their boyfriends and the other male figures that they may be sexually involved in, because men are just so sensitive. They may feel like, you know, they can't, women may feel like they can't tell their boyfriend that, you know, they masturbate, because the men are gonna feel inferior. They may feel like, wow, why is she masturbating? Am I not good enough? And it's gonna turn into one big issue. So with that being said, man, you need to become a lot more open-minded when it comes down to talking to your women about sexual acts, masturbation, and different things. Whatever a woman desires, you have to be open to hear what she has to say as well, and not be so dogmatic and not be so, try to down her or whatever the case may be, because it is a natural act, and most women do it whether they are in a relationship or not as well, just like men. So, but I'm specifically talking about men having to be more uh, open-minded and less sensitive when they're talking about their women, their girlfriend or their wife having masturbating.
That I've said enough in reference to this topic for now. But again, the moral of that bad story is you just can't cut the bed. So in reference to NoFap, you just have to stop masturbating. One day at a time, you have to take one day at a time. You cannot try the shortcut and say, I'm going to miss the day, do it tomorrow, miss the day, do it tomorrow. No, you have to bite the bullet and actually, and as time goes on, it will get easier. I promise you, it will get easier. And when you pull that off, your confidence will also rise, and you will be able to develop, use that confidence, and that will go inside your confidence box as a token, and you can now apply that confidence to other areas of your life, other areas, because again, it also has a snowball positive effect. So with that being said, I will end this part 3 video, and for those of you guys,
And like I was saying again, like I said, it is something that is a huge confidence booster for a man when he could control his sexual desires and his sexual urges. And actually, women find it to be very, very, very attractive to find a man who actually has sexual discipline. It is very, very attractive. Men might not believe it or not, but when women find out that men have the ability to even sustain and have some type of celibate streak, have some celibate could control masturbation, pornography. Women find it to be very attractive, and sometimes women might actually go their way to test you and even try to give you some pussy to see if you're gonna just fall weak, or if you're just faking, or if you're just playing, or you're just talking. So some women would actually test you and see, put your money where your mouth is to see if you could actually resist if a sexual opportunity comes up. So it is again very, very sexual discipline is a very attractive trait that women find in men, and it is attractive because women know that there are only a few men, that actually has sexual discipline.
who have stuck around this far and this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank you very much for watching this far. I really do appreciate it. And please smash the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment if there's anything that I may said that have brought some interest to your attention, or there's some other area of NoFap, other question that you may be interested in knowing. Please feel free, leave a comment, like, share. Again, this is just our second video, part 2. Again, there's going to be part 1, part 2, and part 3. And I assure you, as soon as those videos, these introduction videos are done, I'm going to get into more and more and more deeper detail and a lot more astrology topics as well. But again, because of astrology being a holistic subject, I am not limited to just, one thing. So that is why I will pretty much be sharing information from a holistic perspective. So once again, for the final time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank each and every one of you for watching this far. And please like, share, subscribe, and join my channel. And I'm gonna try my very best to to at least make one video a week. And my goal is to make these videos unedited and uncut. So any little thing in the video, whereas I had to move the camera around, I'm not gonna edit it. That's gonna be what it is. It's gonna be what it is. So
And that's what I was saying. These videos are unedited, uncut, and looking at this now for this being my very second YouTube video, and not having any experience as a content creator or anything, no script. However, I shouldn't say was, I am gifted with the gift of gab. I am a talker naturally. That's why they call me pimp, prophet, and priest. So, but I would say that for a second video with no script or anything, to talk this long and just talk without any script or anything, that was something that I would say was, I commend myself on that as well. Again, looking back at it now, and so, but again, I still didn't really have the confidence to know what I was doing or what I was saying. However, it may have, it did seem to be somewhat natural, but at the same time, like I said, very second video. And as I said earlier, you guys notice how much appreciation that I say thank you, thank you. At least I said that at least 1,000 times. I did say that my goal was to create one video a week, and as it stands right now, this is 8 months later. I am creating. I'm not quite sure how consistent I'm going to be with this, but at the same time, I am creating at least one video, two videos a week. And now that I'm going live, it's going to be a lot easier for me to at least do one video a week, because now I don't have to actually leave my home, because in the past I had to go. I'm still going to go out and do these videos with the sea back scenery and all that stuff, because I do like, taking those videos by the beach and all that. However, at the same time, I do have to travel, not far, because I don't live too far from the beach, but at the same time, I I am going to try to continue to do at least one video outside, and at least one or two videos live streaming a week as well. And I do have another channel as well, a very other channel also, whereas I have all of the shorts. That channel is titled Triple P, and I have all of these long form videos. Every single long form video is actually located on my other channel, Triple P, whereas you could go and watch the shorts, whereas all of the snippets that were taken from the long form videos, you guys could go and check that channel out as well. If you're interested in might not want to watch the long form videos, you could go and watch some of the more entertaining parts, if I may say, from the long form video. And also this reaction video, if I may say, or review, I highly suggest you guys go and watch this video again without me commentating, and you guys gonna see the closed captions fully and everything. I'm not gonna be interrupting anything as well. But again, I'm just doing this to review the videos and also use the videos for opportunity for my callers to call in, and use these to be subject matters that we could maybe discuss as well.
again, thank you. I cannot thank you. I cannot stress that enough. Go ahead, like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, so when new videos are released, you guys will be the first on the list to get those videos. So now, ending on a more positive astrological note, may the stars shine brightly on you always, and may the planets work in your favor always as well. Triple P, and I'm out.